One of the most embarrassing nominees Donald Trump tried to get through the Senate last year was a woman by the name of Kathleen Hartnett White. You're seeing her there. She is, throughout her career, a fossil fuel defender and many times science denier. And so, of course, she was being nominated to head the White House Council on Environmental Quality. She was not high quality herself, but the council is. Here's what it does. We're going to give you all the information about her, but here's what she was going to be in charge of. The Council on Environmental Quality coordinates federal environmental efforts in the US and works closely with agencies and other White House offices on the development of environmental and energy policies and initiatives. So there's some science in there and some coordination to make sure that when it comes to energy and the environment and all of that, we're doing the right thing. And so let's talk a little bit about what she stands for, because although last year she had one of, as I said, the most embarrassing hearings, and Sheldon Whitehouse asked her a bunch of embarrassing science questions that she didn't know the answer of, and she made it through the committee on a party line vote. But then once she got to the Senate, they declined to actually consider voting for her. But she is coming back up again. I guess they think, why not? So they're gonna be putting her back up. But here are some of the things that she has said in the past that might give you reason to think that she's not actually qualified to head up this office. At one point she said, there is in fact a historical connection between the abolition of slavery and humanity's first widespread use of energy from fossil fuels. Oh, come on. I mean, oil and gas are great because they end slavery.
So
that's good.
You're going to be shocked to find out who financed her entire career. In a minute, we'll get to it. But to be fair to her, though, John Brown, the abolitionist, first CEO of Chevron. And little known fact. Little known fact.
There you go.
And I remember Harriet Tubman saying, I couldn't have built this railroad without ExxonMobil. Yeah.
What do you think the train runs on, smart guy?
Think about it.
Let's see, there is a 2015 video in which she praises the, quote, really beneficial impacts of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. Satellites already show a greening of the earth, in part from very small amount of carbon dioxide involved with using fossil fuels. So I love that she's trying to get a 2-for-1 there. She wants you to believe, against all evidence, that the carbon dioxide is better for the environment, but she also doesn't want to imply that the fossil fuels are producing a lot of it. So you're getting all that benefit from the tiny amount of carbon that's coming from fossil fuels. And of course, there's no scientific basis for any of what she's saying there, but it certainly does sound good at this point. She also said this. No matter how many times the president, EPA, and press rant about dirty carbon pollution, there is no pollution about carbon itself. As the dictionary will tell you, carbon is the chemical basis of all life. Our flesh, blood, and bones are built of carbon. Carbon dioxide is the gas of life on this planet, an essential nutrient for plant growth on which human life depends. How craftily our government has masked these fundamental realities and the environmental benefits of fossil fuels.
Now, there's no way the fossil fuel industry is paying her to say that.
No.
I know she's an expert. I know she's an independent expert.
She's a carbon enthusiast.
You know why? She loves bones.
And you know what they are? Carbon.
Flesh, carbon, okay? Now, carbon combined with other elements might create a different situation, and it might have different effects. I'm pretty sure we're not putting flesh and bones in the atmosphere.
No.
Okay, and carbon dioxide might have different effects at different levels. But no, just flesh and bones. That's all it is, man.
Yeah. So if you guys could use your ears, listen to this. Your ears, by the way, made of carbon. So another good benefit of carbon. So what she's trying to say there is that the concerns over pollution caused by burning of fossil fuels like oil and gas and all of that stuff doesn't make any sense because carbon comes out, but carbon isn't pollution. Yes, Kathleen, that is true, but other stuff is in oil as well. And when you burn it, that stuff comes out, and you'll be shocked to find out, hopefully before you head up this office in the White House, that carbon-heavy pollution from coal is responsible for 3 million deaths every single year. Because carbon dioxide is not the only thing coming out of it. It would be bad even if it was, but there's all sorts of other particulate matter that gets in the atmosphere and then causes respiratory illness and a number of other ailments. And so, yeah, there's some bad stuff coming out of it. We also have some other quotes from her. As the evidence for unprecedented warming, temperatures, extreme weather events, declining Arctic ice, and rising sea levels wanes, at first I thought that Oh, she accepts the overwhelming scientific consensus of climate change. No, she does not. She thinks there's less and less evidence every year. The entrenched warmists grasp for familiar tags such as pollution or environmental protection to sanitize their grand schemes to decarbonize human societies. And here, if you combine a couple of her statements, if what the liberals are trying to do is decarbonize humanity, and humanity's made of carbon, what do you think happens to you?
So let's pause there. I know we've gotten used to the fact that Republicans live in an alternate reality and they believe in crazy things. But putting aside all of our totally wrong, counterfactual statements about climate change, carbon, et cetera, at the end there she says that the liberals have this grand scheme to decarbonize human societies. If you're a conservative, you really believe that? Like that liberals have gotten together, and again, it's another case of projection because conservatives do conspiracies. Like she's funded, as we're going to show you, by the oil companies. Of course, right? And it's a conspiracy to make her appear to be a legitimate, credible expert in the field, and then just do propaganda for them. So I guess they assume that liberals also have have conspiracies, right? But our conspiracy is to decarbonize the world. One, no one knows what that means. Okay.
Get rid of all the bones, Cenk. No more bones.
Well, of course, the liberal who runs the secret council is known as the bone crusher. Okay.
And he does it all without a spine. He just is sort of like in his chair.
That's
because
right.
He practices what he preaches.
She is up for a really important position regarding science. And
the environment specifically.
And she believes there's a grand scheme by all liberals who got together in the world to decarbonize all of us.
But
she should be in an insane asylum.
Yeah. Here's the problem though, Cenk. Like that was intended to scare you and to scare me. But as I'm reading, I'm thinking, decarbonize society. I actually like that framing of it because we desperately do need to decarbonize to some extent the way we produce and utilize energy. Certainly, I don't want to take your flesh and bones. I want to be very clear about that. But I do think that we should emit less carbon into the atmosphere. That would be good. Let's do that.
You got together with the Chinese to come up with that idea. Now, look, why would you want to have less carbon dioxide? Because of all the effects that now, by the way, it's no longer 97% of the world's scientists. Somehow the Chinese have hoodwinked 99.5% of the world's scientists, okay? Why would they want to have less carbon dioxide in the atmosphere unless it was hurting us all? It was hurting the planet and it was warming things up and causing more extreme weather patterns. Or maybe it's because they want to get rid of your flesh and bones.
She also, this is one more thing. I just think this is funny because she's targeting a particular cable news commentator. In a 2014 blog post she wrote, referring to MSNBC's Chris Hayes, sometimes a single voice throws in hard relief the delusion, misanthropy, and unabashedly totalitarian policy of the left, capital letters. These characteristics are particularly embedded in the left's secular religion, apocalyptic, anthropogenic global warming.
Now, finally, who's funding this madness? Well, she has a very good sounding title. She's a distinguished senior fellow in residence and director of the Armstrong Center for Energy and Environment at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. That is a hefty title, and that looks like a lot of legitimate organizations. They've got a lot of words in there. And it turns out they are funded by the Koch brothers and ExxonMobil. No, really?
Weird.
Now, the Koch brothers in the oil business, ExxonMobil in the oil business, and they have funded this person who knows nothing about science and made her appear to be a credible expert in the field. I mean, she's a distinguished senior fellow. And then they foist her upon the American people. They get a guy like Donald Trump, who they've paid a lot of money to, campaign contributions, independent expenditures, et cetera. And Donald Trump goes, lo and behold, hey, you know what? I'd like to take the CEO of ExxonMobil and make him Secretary of State. I'd like to give the Koch brothers all the tax cuts they've ever wanted. I'd like to take Scott Pruitt to destroy the EPA, and let's just rub it in a little bit. Let's get the senior distinguished fellow, completely funded by the oil interests, to pretend that the liberals are trying to decarbonize our bones and put her in charge of science and the environment so she could shred science and any environmental efforts to protect American citizens.
If you become a member of the Young Turks, you'll be saying,
you know, I'm like a smart person.
So do it right now, tytnetwork.com/join. Get the whole Young Turks show every day.